Hey guys, it's Archon. So every morning on my live stream, I build a set for one of my viewers, and I just wanted to show you guys how I build monk sets. And we're going to go with a budget of 50 million gold, but I'll let you guys know what I would do differently on a lower budget or higher budget set. I've actually already made a guide for all the other classes. I saved monk for last for two reasons. One is because it's really hard to build a monk set all in one sitting, mostly due to one with everything. If you don't know, one with everything is a passive that makes it so all your resistances are equal to your highest resistance. So when you're building monk sets, at least at this budget, it makes sense to pick one resistance to focus on and stack that in addition to all res. But because of that, you can usually find some really good deals if you wait it out. If you look over multiple days and you find deals with your specific resistance that you're going for. Also, it's better if you wait a while before you pick which resistance you're going for. We don't have that luxury in this guide because we're going to be doing it all in one sitting, but if you're doing it yourself, you might want to space it out. And the other reason I've waited is because there's a lot of different combinations you can go with for weapons and for armor on a monk, and there's a lot of disagreements, and so I just wanted to do some testing first so I felt confident with the choices that we make. So let's open up the auction house here. Again, we're going with a budget of 50 mil. We're going to put about 15% of our budget on each of our weapons. However, if we get a socket, I'm going to lower that to 10% because we're going to have to spend money on the socket as well. Now, most people agree that the main hand for your monk should be a slow, rare weapon. And I also agree with that. So we're going to look for a rare weapon with lifesteal and a socket, or we might go crit damage. We're not going to go crit damage and a socket because then we'll have low weapon damage, and the weapon damage of our main hand is really important for spells like Wave of Light or anything that's relying on your weapon damage. Now, we have to put our max buy in, of course. If we're going to have a socket, I'm going to put 5 mil in. It's 10% of our budget. We're going down to 870 mil. So with a socket, we don't really want an axe. We'd rather have like a spear. There we can get 1121 damage. Pretty cheap too, with 2.9 lifesteal. Now, if we go socket, we're probably only going to be able to get 80% at this budget. So let's see what we can get if we go crit damage instead. We'll see how much more weapon damage we can get. And we can't get that much more weapon damage. We could get this 56, so we're losing, let's see, 24% crit damage to gain 60 weapon damage. But we also save a little bit of money because we don't have to buy a gem. Now, typically a socket's better. Sockets have just been cheaper recently. But in this case, I might actually go with one with crit damage, just because that weapon damage is pretty nice, and we're not getting much more crit damage than that anyway. We'll do that and we'll save some money. Usually I go socket on the main hand. Now for the offhand, we did some testing. You can go rare weapon, Echoing Fury, or Wan Kim Lao. At this price point, we found the best luck with Wan Kim Lao's. And actually, a pair of Shenlongs does really well. Despite popular belief, Shenlongs did just as well as the Wan Kim Lao did for us, but I don't know how they do at higher budgets, so we're going to go Wan Kim Lao. However, it wasn't a big difference between Wan Kim Lao and an Echoing Fury. The rare weapon didn't quite compare. But if you're going like a Wave of Light build, Echoing Fury might be better because you're not getting the bonus lightning damage on the Wan Kim Lao for Wave of Light. And we're going to get lifesteal, and we'll probably get crit damage. The sockets are a little bit more expensive on the Wan Kim Lao for some reason. So right there we can get 821. It's only 16% more lightning damage. Now, one thing to note with the Wan Kim Lao is your character sheet damage is going to be lower than if you went with an Echoing Fury or rare weapon, but it makes up for it with the lightning skills do more damage. You can get about 20% more damage from lightning skills, and most of your damage is going to be lightning. Of course, if you're using Wave of Light, it's going to be a little bit less, but that's really why people go the Wan Kim Lao. So we can get that as 22% lightning damage. That's 740 with crit damage. Let's look at has sockets. Maybe we can get some good deals here. We actually get 752 with has sockets, but that's low lightning damage. We don't want that. Man, that's hard to say no to, though. Even with that low lightning damage, I almost want to take it. It's a huge difference. 752 down to 700. Now, normally I would say make sure you get 20% lightning damage or so, because it makes a big difference, but in this case, we're sacrificing about 5% lightning damage to get almost 10% more weapon damage. And we get good lifesteal and good dex there too. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's do it. Let's get the Wan Kim Lao with the socket. This is one of the rare exceptions where I would actually take a Wan Kim Lao with lower lightning damage. Now I'm going to buy the gem now so I don't forget to buy it later. So I don't have to worry about budgeting for it. We're just getting the 80%. If you have gems already, you can use a better one. And if you save some money, you might be able to get 90%. But obviously, 100% gem is going to be out of budget for a 50 mil set. Now for the Helm, you have a few options here. You could go Mempo of Twilight. That's probably the most popular. And then you could get an Inna's chest, because you do want to get the 2-piece Inna's. 3-piece Inna's not necessarily. But I found a little bit more luck with an Inna's Radiance and a rare chest. You'll get more life, more HP if you go Mempo and Inna's chest, but you get a little bit more all res and you get a lot more crit if you go Inna's Radiance and rare chest. Now if you can get a crit Mempo, if you have that budget, then you're probably going to want to go with that. So for the Inna's Radiance, we want Dex, Vit, and then we're going to choose an all res, or a resistance rather. Now you can use any piece to choose which resistance you want. Sometimes I use the Witching Hour, but the best way to do it is to look through all the pieces you're going to get. The more time you take picking your resistance, the better choice you're going to be able to make. If you look through all the pieces you're going to buy, you find where the best deals are with which resistances, then you can pick a resistance better. We don't have that time, so we're just going to look through a couple different ones right now. And we'll start with Arcane Res. Let me go 125 Dex and Vit. And we'll just see what kind of deals we can get. Let's put 40 Arcane Res on here. Now we can do all res as well just to check, but it's probably... Okay, there are a few decent deals here. Let's see. Every once in a while you can find some good deals with all res. So here you see we get 163 Dex, 130 Vit. We only get 5 crit. And I already built a 50 mil set. I kind of rushed a very lackluster 50 mil set. So there we get just as much health, and we get 600 damage with the 45 all res. Now actually, let's use that to compare what we can get with different resistances. So that's 172 Dex, 137 Vit. Let's bump these up a little bit. We'll go 130 and 155, we'll say. And we'll see how that compares with different resistances. Arcane Res, we can't get anything. Now, if you're going to go Poison Res, you could get an Andy's Helm. But I decided not to go Poison Res because I want to show how you do it with all the other sets. If you're going to go Fire Res, you can go Cinder Coat. So that Lightning Res is a little bit better. It's pretty expensive still, and that, because of the 6 crit, it's pretty nice right there. 440 health and 864 damage. It is 5 mil, which is a lot, but we didn't spend that much on our weapons. I just think we can go Cold Res as well. And again, I'm going to avoid going Fire Res, but all the resistances can be a good choice. It's just depending on what's popular. You're basically trying to find the least popular resistance at that time, because that's going to be the cheapest, because there's the least competition. So I think we're going to go with Lightning Res. We'll get this in his helm, even though it's right at the top of our budget. We'd rather not spend that much, but it's a good deal. So we're going to get a rare chest now. And we can get Dex, Vi, Lightning Res, and All Res. And we'll probably look with sockets as well, but sockets are really popular. So one right there is not too bad, but we're not getting that much resistances. We're getting a lot of Vite. Only one socket, but losing out on a lot of resistances. Looks like Lightning Res is not working in our favor on the chest piece right now. Let's lower the Dex by a bit and see if we can find some more deals. No, we get some Cinder Coats, but that's it. I don't think we're going to want to go Cinder Coat here. Although right there we get, it's not a bad deal on that Cinder Coat. Already has gems in the socket, so it's making up for a lot of it. Nah, it's not really comparing all res wise. Keep in mind the tooltips aren't going to show you one with everything. We just cannot find good deals right now on chests. Normally there's much better deals than this. Let me just try lowering these a little bit more, see if we can find anything. But we might just have to go with that 216 Vit one. Yeah, unfortunately, not many options. So we'll go with the 216 Vit. Again, this is kind of one of the downsides of building the entire set at once, is we can't check to see which resistances are going to be good. We kind of just had to commit to the Lightning Res quickly, so this video wouldn't take forever. So we're going to look for Vit on the Inna's pants. We can't get 120, but we can get 75 Vit. Let's see if any of these have. Let's start 72 with 9% attack speed. That's not too bad. Now usually you can get better all res, but the the thing I have the most trouble with usually building monk sets is getting enough of it for the set. Now let's see how much all res we can get with the same budget. Yeah, like normally I would say 55 all res, 9 attack speed. That's going to give us more than 72 vit or so. I usually say 1 all res is about 2 vit if I'm trying to compare them. But let's look at lightning res right now. See if we can get even more. We can get 60 lightning res. See if we can get anything with 9 attack speed. There's 55 lightning res with 9 attack speed. It's only 1.3 mil. I think we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll just have to stack some health on some other pieces. Now for the boots and ring, almost everyone goes Nats boots and Nats ring. But I did find out yesterday from my good friend Ryo Shug from the channel that you can go ice climbers and rare ring, and then of course you have to get lacunis to make up for the movement speed, and it turns out to be about the same. I argued him with this. I did not think it would be the same. You will lose a little bit of crit. You can't get crit on Nats ring at this budget, so if you go rare ring, you can get crit there, but it's not going to make up for the 7% crit you get from the 2-piece set bonus. But overall, the stats were about the same. We tried it with both ways with the same budget, and it was almost identical. But because you get a little more crit, we're going to go ahead and go Nats boots and Nats ring. Just know you can go Ice Climbers rare ring if you want to. You just have to get lacunis to get the movement speed. So we'll get Nats boots. And I think typically, let's go, bloody footprints. Typically, the resistance on the boots is better than the vite. You can get a little bit more vite than you can get resistance sometimes. Sometimes you can get less, but I think the all res is worth a little bit more. So let's see, there's 184 with 54 lightning res. That's pretty nice. Let's just go ahead and put in 50 lightning res. Oh, that's the only one. So we're gonna go ahead and take that. Gives us a lot of our all res. Now we are running a little bit low on vit, so we need to be aware of that as we're building the set. Let's get the ring. The Nats ring, you might want to spend some time on because there's lots of different ways you can go with the Nats ring. Now it's one of those pieces where resistances will add to the price of it. Sometimes the resistance you get practically for free because no one else wants it. Nats ring, there's a lot of monks getting Nats rings, so you'll usually pay for it. Now one way we can go is a Dex Vit roll, and since we're a little low on health, that might be a good way to go. Just go high dex, get some vit on there. You might even be able to get some average damage with this, but we'll stake it out. So I kind of see 1 point of life as about 1 point of damage. It's not an exact science, but I'd just as well have a point of life as have a point of damage. So I typically just add the two together and use that to compare items to each other. So that first one's our best bet so far. We have 841 damage. We only lose 400 health. And it has some fire res. Too bad we're not going fire res right now. Let's see. We can check to see if any of these had lightning res. We don't need it. We're trying to get about 600 all res. There is one with lightning res, but it's not a great ring. We get 37 lightning res. Okay, so it's something to keep in mind. Now we could look for crit damage or average damage. See if there are any high average damage ones that might be worth it. That one's not too bad right there, but not quite as good as our last one, I don't think. Wow, that I think looks like we just stumbled onto something right there. That is a great ring. I don't think we're going to do any better than that, and it just got posted, so I think we're going to go ahead and snipe it. Typically, you're building a set, you're going to find a couple good deals. We got lucky right there. That's great with that 12% life, 9 attack speed, and the high average damage. The strength on there is not bad either. That's 100 armor. 100 armor is 100 armor. So we have 23 million gold left. We still have to buy the witching hour, the rare ring, the gloves, shoulders, amulet, and bracers. We have 6 pieces. We have about 4 mil per piece. We're right on budget. Now let's get the witching hour next. I buy witching hours a little unconventionally for monk sets. And the reason is because Dex witching hours are super expensive. Now if you have the budget, go with the Dex witching hour. But if you don't, I say go with the Vit witching hour. And the reason I say go with Vit is because if you don't have high int on there, you don't have Dex, you can get a lot on your witching hour. And if you go Dex, getting a high Dex roll, you're probably going to get low attack speed, low crit damage. You're not going to get the Vit. You can get almost as much damage from a Vit witching hour. And people just aren't looking at them because they're like, oh, I gotta have Dex, I'm a monk. So we're going to go 842. We'll put the other things that are on a witching hour just so they only show up. We're searching for all legendaries so we can actually look at attack speed and crit damage, otherwise it won't let us. See how much VIT we can get. You see I'm wearing a VIT witching hour right now. See if we can find something a little bit better. There we get 184 life. We lose a little bit of damage. It is 5 mil. We've been spending at the top of our budget, so we have to calm down a little bit on that. This auction house tooltip compare tool is awesome. And not quite as good as the other one. Oh, that one's really nice. There's 7% life on there, no damage loss. I think we found another good deal. I got a snipe. Okay. Again, didn't want to spend the 5 mil, but it's nice to have it up there just in case you find a good deal like that. So you can see there, we get the 9 attack speed, 49 crit damage. We could get a little bit more damage with the dex, but that's a ton of life with 77 vit and 7% life. So I think at this price point, vit witching hours are just the way to go. See, next up we'll get the ring. Now if you want to, you could get attack speed on the ring. However, you're probably going to sacrifice some damage. I like to go attack speed on one of the rings. We have that on Nat's ring. It's nice to get to 2 attacks per second, but at 50 mil budget, sometimes it's worth it to sacrifice it. There's no real break points for a monk. It's just nice. Some of your skills work better when you're hitting faster. So let's go ahead and go dex on the ring. Vit rings don't seem to be quite as good of a deal as they are on some other pieces. And we'll try to get some average damage as well. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. Crit damage, can't get that much of it. Wow, I'm surprised. It's because our average damage is empty. It's blank. Let's look at, man, some of these might be a really good deal though. Let's see. It's 3,000 damage, but it's 5 mil. We might as well look for lightning res, just in case there's something here. Again, when you're doing it over time, you can find lightning res on a bunch of pieces and not get as much all res as you normally would. 53 lightning res is nice. We could look at vit rings as well, see if we can find any great deals. It's going to be hard to compare to this damage with vit rings, of course. Lots of lightning res rings. I'm going to try not to spend too much time, but of course, the more time you spend on the auction house, the better your set's going to end up being. That's not too bad for 2 mil. We do lose a lot of life there. Okay, no amazing deals on lightning res, but let's go ahead and take, yeah, 49 crit damage. That's so nice. Low dex roll, of course. Looks like we just got a good deal on the ring we have right now. I'm not getting any high average damage here with the lightning res on, so let's go ahead and take lightning res off. See if we can get some better average damage and maybe a better deal. Get a lot of damage there. Losing a lot of life over the ring we currently have, but maybe I just have too high of expectations with that ring. This is great. I wish we were a Phys Res monk. A lot of damage there. Now we don't really need the all res. We did get lightning res on the pants, which I normally wouldn't get. Man, I don't want to spend 5 mil again. Sorry, I didn't want to spend this much time, but I just want to see if we can find something better. It looks like we might have to either splurge or take a mediocre ring. So not finding anything exceptional. Just that one for 5 mil that gives us some good damage. Okay. I'm giving up on finding an upgrade for the ring we have. Let's go ahead and take that 5 mil ring. We'll just have to lower our budget after this point. Okay, where's it at? There it is. Again, I put the budget at about 10% per piece, a little bit more for weapons, but we don't have enough money to spend that much per piece. It's just in case we find some good deals. You assume you're going to spend under that for most of the pieces. Okay, so we have 4 pieces left, and we have 13 mil, which means we really have to budget. So for the bracers, we're going to go down to 3 mil. We'll see what we can find. We're just going to go rare bracers because we don't need the movement speed. Usually you can find better deals on rare bracers. Just going to go 65 dex, and actually let's put Vit here. Try to get as much vit as we can. Again, that's one of the things I have trouble finding on sets usually, and we're going to try to get all res and lightning res. Okay, we have a few here with high vit. It's pretty nice. That one right there is not too bad, not too shabby. You can see we got a really good deal on our bracers in the last set I built. There's some damage, but we don't get that much health. Yeah, lose way too much life there. So we'll go ahead and get this one. We get a lot of all res there. I think this would be a good time to try on the set. If you're going to build the set and all in one sitting, then you probably want to try it on at some point. We got some holes here that we're going to have to sift through to find all of our items. But you want to make sure that you're on track. It's mostly just you want to make sure your defenses are where they should be, so you know how much more all res you need, how much more health you need, and maybe armor. Let's go ahead and send all this to our stash. Get in there, see how it's looking so far. Okay, so I'm going to put my current set in here. Keep getting these troll invites from someone with the battle tag Archon. Let's go ahead, find all of our pieces as they hide in our bag here. What else are we still missing? Let me see. Our rare ring. Is that you up here? Yeah. And our witching hour, I think. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I think that's all the pieces we have gotten so far. Yeah, we're just missing the last 3. Still have 11 mil there. Let's see, our health is at 30,000, so we can use a little bit more health. Sometimes I'll get like a Vit Amulet, because Vit Amulets can be really good deals. It'd be nice to get the 40,000 health. Armor's looking fine for where we're at. All res wise, we're still looking for about 150 all res to get up to 600. So we can get about 100 of it from shoulders. We'll want to get some lightning res on our gloves or our amulet. Let me switch these two around. Could also go ahead and put our gem in there. Our damage is pretty low right now, but it'll be up higher once we get that amulet and gloves. Now it's hard to get a good character sheet damage on a monk, especially when you're going Wankim Lao. So if you can get 100,000 damage with good defenses on 50 mil budget, you're doing pretty well. Don't beat yourself up too much. It's probably the hardest class to get high character sheet damage on, but you're still going to do good damage. Part of it's because you're getting lifesteal on both of your weapons, and then you have to stack a lot of all res for a dex user. But overall, it looks like we're doing pretty good. We're trying to get another 150 all res. So we'll get lightning res on the shoulders and then on one other piece. And we'll probably get a Vit Amulet. Let me go ahead and get the amulet first. I'll put 5 mil on there. Yeah, the Vit Amulets, if you get an amulet without a main stat, you can actually get some really good deals. Without a main stat or with int. For some reason, int amulets, really cheap. So we're going to start these pretty low, 7.5 and 60% crit damage with 120 Vit. 120 Vit would be enough. Wow, I don't have my amulet on. 272 Vit with Fizz Res there. That's crazy. It's a really crazy Vit roll. I almost want to take it just because we can. It'd be more Vit than we even need. But let me go ahead and put the rest of my gear back on just so we have something to compare it to. Otherwise the tooltip doesn't show up. So we need the amulet and shoulders and the gloves. Pachow. Okay. Search for the amulet again. I do that all the time. I forget to put those pieces back on. I used to leave them off, but now the tooltip compares there. I have to put them back on. Now, if I had more time, I would look around at Dex amulets as well, but I just find you can get some pretty good deals on Vit amulets, and I'm always low on Vit on monk sets, so take advantage of the underpriced Vit ammies. Same thing we do on the Witching Hour. Okay, so let's see. If we got this Vit Ammy We get a 6,200 life over the 120. That's probably gonna give us about 10,000 life. We'd be at 40,000 easy with that. We would lose some damage. Now let's go ahead and look at lightning res ones, because we're gonna need to get some more all res anyways, other than the shoulders. So there's a little bit of lightning res. That's not too bad right there with 42 lightning res. We might just take that. And then we'll be a little bit low on Vit. We might get some on the gloves, but if we had 35,000 health, that'd be fine for a 50 mil set. And this 42 lightning res would get us almost to where we need to be. We'd be really close to 600 all res. I can really quickly look for other similar amulets with the same stats. We can go and just see what we could get if we don't go lightning res. But then of course we'd have to get it on the gloves. And we can't get much more. So we're going to go ahead and grab it. Now we have 6 mil left in our budget, which means we're going to have to calm down with our spending. We'll go down to 4 mil, oh, even 3 mil on the gloves. Didn't want to spend that much on the amulet, but I think it was worth it. Fit gloves don't seem to be as good of a deal as they are in other pieces. We're going to put attack speed on there, but we won't put in an amount. Same with crit damage. Crit chance we'll put 8. We don't have to get lightning res here, but we'll look for it anyway, because sometimes it's practically free. So dexterity, let's put 70. Lightning res. Okay, so we can get 39 lightning res there. We get 1,000 damage. So let's see how much more damage we can get with that lightning res. And we'll go 8.5 crit chance, 25 crit damage. Leave attack speed where it's at. 800, 571. Actually, we can't do much better without the lightning res. So I say we go ahead and get the lightning res. Let me see, I might have shut it out. It does give us a lot of crit as well, the one with the lightning res. But it had lower crit damage, I think. Yeah. It is 3 mil. It's at the top of our budget. We're getting down to the wire here. But yeah, that lightning res, I think it's going to be worth it. And then if we wanted to, we could get some shoulders with Vit instead of lightning res on it. But I think we have enough Vit, and lightning res is probably more worth it. So it could go either way here. We could get up to 40k health pretty easy, or we could get over 600 all res. And I think we're going to get over 600 all res. Now for the Vile Wars, I only want to spend like 2 mil. We still have to buy some gems. We're not going to be able to buy great ones, but you can always upgrade those later. Let's say we want at least 190 dex. See how much lightning res we can get. There we go, 500,000. That's great. We get some armor on there as well with that strength. Okay, so we have about 3 mil left. We have to buy a ruby and 3 dex gems, and then we'll see how the set turned out. So let's see, dex gems. Maybe we can get some star ones. Let's see what we can afford. Ooh, if we do that, we can't get a great ruby. So even though they're not great, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a lower quality ruby, and we can always upgrade that later. Or whoever gets this set. I'm sure I'll give it away on the live stream. Excuse me, my voice is a little raspy today. And the ruby, we'll probably just get a star ruby as well. Yeah. And that'll take us... Ooh, look at... We're going to be right at our budget. Yeah, 70 mil, 0.2. I guess technically we might have gone over by just a little bit, but it was negligible. And we could have gotten a lower quality ruby, of course. So we have to sift through our inventory to find these items. Let's see how the set turned out. Now, it's unlikely we're going to hit 100,000 damage. 100,000 damage, I think, is a good goal for a 15 mil budget. But when you're going Wan Kim Lao, and especially when you have 0 Paragon, it's going to be a lot harder to hit that. So I wouldn't mind getting 90,000 or so. Let's get all the gear. And I'll show you the difference between Wan Kim Lao and Shenlong's or an Echoing Fury as well, because I have some in my inventory. So we're actually right at 90,000 damage. But I think, yeah, we have some really good resistances. We're trying to get to 600 resistance. We got to 650. Try to get to 35,000 health. That's what we got to. 40,000 health would be better, but 35 is enough. 4,400 armor. That's of course with Siege the Initiative. Not too bad. Our crit chance though is really high. With Scoundrel we're at 48.5 crit chance, which is pretty hard to get on a monk with this budget, but with the Nat set and the Innis Radiance you can get a lot of crit chance. Crit damage could be better. With that crit chance, a socket might have been better in the weapon. It's hard to say. I'd have to go test it. Dexterity's pretty low. That's probably what's bringing down our damage the most. However, when you're leveling up Paragon, you get a lot of dexterity, so that would change over time. Let me show you Shenlongs at this level. I'll actually give you a lot more character sheet damage than most people think. Probably a lot because of the dexterity, but see, we can go up to 103 weapon damage on these Shenlongs, and the Shenlongs cost me the same that this spear and Wan Kim Lao cost, and I just bought them yesterday. So a lot of people think Shenlongs aren't that great. At least at this price point, they can be really good. I didn't get lifesteal on the offhand, but they have life on hit naturally, and at this damage level, life on hit does about as much. We tested it on Gome, and it was doing great. I had just as much survivability as I did before, and I can show you an Echoing Fury as well. We have a deck. Let's see. We have a Dex Echoing Fury here. Get out of here. You can see we're at 95,000 damage, so in between the Shenlongs and the Wan Kim Lao. You do get that extra attacks per second, so we're at 210 attacks per second there, as you can see. I also bought an Int Echoing Fury for the same price, actually on accident. But if you notice, it's less than 2,000 less damage, because Dex Echoing Furies are so expensive. I thought that was kind of funny. But Wan Kim Lao, we're at, let's see, 1.78 or 2.07 attacks per second. It's not great, but that's kind of one of the sacrifices you make. So you can see Wan Kim Lao, Echoing Fury, Shenlongs, it's not a big difference. It's more just your preference. If you want a really fast attack speed, you can go with an Echoing Fury or Shenlongs. Let me even see what we're at attack speed wise on Shenlongs. 2.07, 2.28. Really nice attack speed there. I don't know how good it is for the higher price points, but that dex can really make a difference. But Wan Kim Lao seems to work at every price point, and that extra lightning damage usually makes up for the character sheet damage. And it's normal for monks to be lower on character sheet damage than other classes would be at the same price point. It doesn't mean they can't do good damage still. Now let's go ahead. I think MP8 might be a little high actually for a 50 mil set. So I'm just going to come down to MP6. You can see I just hit level 60 yesterday. I just hit level 60 yesterday so I could make this guide actually. I've built a lot of monk sets, but I have played little monk. So let's go ahead, go to Keep Depths 3. Get on our conviction. Oh, I can show you the build. I'm using a pretty standard low budget build here. I think Wave of Light or Exploding Palm are pretty popular in the higher budget builds, but from what I've seen, this is pretty standard. Lots of survivability, Fist of Thunder and Sweeping Winds doing your damage. Let's go see if we can get an elite pack. See, our survivability is pretty awesome. Not that these guys do much damage, but we got an elite pack here we can really test it out on. Not an easy elite pack either. You guys can see how much I suck with the monk here. I don't really play melee in RPGs at all. I'm really more of a ranged person. Oh no! I'm making this set look bad. I swear I have enough defense. I'm just standing molten, getting hit by arcane lasers. Serenity up here. Oh, stood right in that molten explosion. Come on, Archon. Yeah, you can see he does pretty good damage. For only 90,000 character sheet damage, you're still putting out a lot of DPS. Yeah. So I think it turned out alright. Again, if you wanted the higher character sheet damage, you use Shenlongs, and with higher Paragon, we could probably be close to 120,000 character sheet damage. If you have your own gems, that's going to help as well. You see I haven't even put points on my Scoundrel yet, although I think I did give him the 3 crit. I did, yeah. Getting messed up there. Alright, well I think that was a pretty good example of an elite pack. It wasn't particularly easy. Oh, they're coming at me. I only killed their master. Yeah, let's get out of here. Go ahead and leave this game. I'll let myself die. I don't want to waste too much time. You guys watching me trying to fight these white mobs. But hopefully this guide has helped you. Hopefully it'll give you some kind of idea of what to look for when building your monk set. Again, building it all in one sitting is kind of difficult. It's better to build it over time because of one with everything. You can find some better deals that way, but it's up to you how you want to build it. Hopefully I've given you enough guidance. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll have another one for you soon.